Hi, I'm Dr. Pam Blackwell, and today we are here to discuss parenting a spiritually gifted child. With me are three of my friends who are remarkable women who are adult spiritually gifted people. I'm just going to start off with your children. You have spiritually gifted children, and we've even thrown around the idea that genetics might play a part, very possibly. Do you want to just talk about maybe one or, what you've been dealing with and what you do?
I can start.
Okay, let's start with that.
Um, I'll think of two different children. One is a female child, and from the time she was really very small, she would often come to me and tell me things that were going to happen. One time she came and she said, "Mommy, our neighbor's house is on fire." And I said, "No, honey, it's not. It's fine." She says, "No, I saw it. There were these trucks," and she described people running and where the flames were coming out and all that. And at the time, I just thought, "Oh, what you have good imagination." And then, but about 4 months later, the house did catch on fire while the parents were gone. There were that number of trucks. There were this different things, and so she has a gift of. To her, it looks like it's happening. It's right then, right there. But she's seen a lot of things, some of which I'm really hoping come true, because it's not just scary things, but some of them are super happy, nice things, and so I'm grateful for that. Another child who's a male often will come up and say, "Oh, I talked to so-and-so last night, departed," especially my mother, and when she passed, and she would just say things about, well, she was wearing this, and she said this, and I asked her if she'd come to Lagoon with us, and she can't come anymore, but she doesn't need to wear glasses anymore. Did you know that? And, just all of these things that a 3-year-old wouldn't probably know. And then, whenever they do these things, we just go, "Oh, isn't that nice?" You don't want to make a big deal out of it. You don't want to make them feel like, "Ooh, and come tell me more. What do you know? I want to know everything." It's just like, "Oh, that's wonderful." Isn't that a nice thing to have? And just like you say the same thing about your children's drawings from elementary school or their piano playing abilities and things. It's just very kind of normal, and then it can unfold at their speed. And if they want to talk about it, they can. And if they don't, that's fine too. It's their experience and not anybody else's. One son had a gift where it was really nice. He could see, find things. And one Sunday morning, he was mad. His brother was angry at him and took one of his Sunday shoes and hid it. And I was, nothing worse than finding one shoe. But we just went, and this little boy went and said a little prayer and came out, and he said, "Oh, I know where it is." And it was on top of a cupboard that you had to climb, a glassed-in cupboard. You had to climb up on a chair to get there. And he went in and opened up the glass, pulled up the lid to a soup tureen, pulled out his Sunday shoe, put it down, climbed down, and we were able to go. And so it's like, call him and ask him if he can find things for us. So, these are useful skills. These are really useful skills.
My youngest, who's 13, he's the one that I believe, because it was 13 years ago when I knelt in prayer and asked the Lord, "Behold thy handmaiden, how can I serve thee? Here am I." And then that's when my gifts really started to awaken and things started happening. And that's when I was pregnant with him. And he's a healer. I don't know how the Lord's going to work with him on that. But when he was 4 years old, KK was playing basketball and at the church, and he comes running up and he said, Mommy, is it okay if I tell my friends I'm a healer?" And I said, "A what?" "A healer." I says, "Well, what's a healer?" "Well, when I touch people and white light comes out of my hand." "Oh, a healer. Yeah. Well, it's probably best you don't tell them right now." "Okay." Off he goes to play, and I'm like, "Oh my goodness, okay, all right." And so to observe him and watch him, because he's very, very sensitive, has been since he's been really little, to a lot of energies, a lot of things. Movies, he would struggle with being in large crowds. Even today, he can go to the movies, but he's still up, going to the bathroom, getting a drink of water. It just is, he's learning how to manage it better. And I'm going to share something that he's taught me, because he's been a great teacher for me. When he was 6, I was having a lot of pressure in my chest. I said, "Can you tell me what's going on?" And he goes, "It's black, Mom." I says, "Well, can you help it?" like, disgusted with me that I have to even do this, He comes and puts his hand on my chest, closes his eyes. Okay, it's gone, Mom. And off he goes. And it was just lifted. I'm thinking, now I've been doing energy work for a while, and I'm moving things, I'm pulling things. I'm like, what did he do with that? What did he do with that? So next day it was kind of there again. I said, can you come help me again? It's right there. He goes, oh, it's black again, Mom. I said, well, can you help me? Oh, so he rolls his eyes. He puts his hand on my chest. Okay, it's gone. I says, well, what did you do with that blackness? And he looks at me like, duh, Mom. And he goes, well, Mom, when you put white light in, the darkness just goes away. Duh, Mom. I mean, that was like, oh my goodness. So that's been such a great thing that I've learned with him, that when we feel, that energy of darkness or whatever, just start bringing the white light in.
I have 4 children, and some are adopted, some are biological. I'll give you an example, the one that keeps coming to my mind. When my daughter, biological, was 2 or 3, she'd wake up in the morning and she'd say, Jesus loves me very much. So after the second or third time, we said, so what's happening? Or we didn't ask her like that. Like I said, yes, Jesus loves you so much. And I can't remember how the conversation went, how I initiated that conversation, but it was gentle. It wasn't, I didn't ambush her. And she would have experiences with Jesus at night. So the things that she described, she couldn't have described. She had never experienced them physically. This was just unusual. And then she was describing to me what Jesus looked like, and in a way that was completely fresh, or I'm not saying unassociated with any picture that she might have seen but it was fresh. It was original. And then even my adopted children have had some profound spiritual experiences. In our last gathering, I talked about remote viewing, and that's an entirely different subject, but you'll get the gist of it. It's when you can see a place or a person where you've never been before. It could be another country, it could be even another time, past, present, or future. And so my adopted son, who we adopted at 18 years old, I saw him and he saw me. I'd never been to French Polynesia, and he had never been off of his little island. So he had no idea what the world looked like. They didn't have internet. He didn't watch TV. He was like a Tarzan, and that was 5 years ago. I think we kind of separate a special experience, or a psychic experience, or a mediumship experience, communicating with the dead, and a spiritual experience, but they're all spiritual experiences. They are all of, this is me speaking, they're all of God, they're all from a higher source, and they're all spiritual experiences. It's just that some people are maybe more attuned. I couldn't play the piano to save my life. Well, maybe I could, if I really tried hard. But I can do this. So we all have, gifts and sensitivities.